welcome you to the NovaCare Complex on this Thursday. Hello, everyone. I'm Eagles Insider Dave Spadaro, along with Fran Duffy, and we're bringing you behind-the-scenes coverage of the Eagles practice here 2020 season, presented by DraftKings as the Eagles get ready for the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. Fran, it feels good to look ahead rather than think about what happened behind. And as we look ahead, we think maybe that guy right there will be on the field for the Eagles as his 21-day window for practice has been activated. Zach Ertz, Eagles Pro Bowl tight end, has been practicing this week. And Fran, this Eagles offense needs every bit of help that he can have.
No question. I think hopefully you get Zach Ertz back in the lineup. You get the left guard, Isaac Sayamalo, hopefully back in the lineup as well. And I think, again, we said this last week, the offense started to look personnel-wise the way that we all hoped it would back in August.
Yeah, did not, however, translate to play on the field. After a really strong first drive, Eagles offense really bogged down on Sunday against the Giants. So the theme this week that we've heard a lot of is detail your work on the practice field. Be accountable to yourself, Fran. We've heard it from a lot of players. We've heard it from Coach Doug Peterson. The Eagles now at 3-5-1, starting a portion of their schedule against 5 teams with plus 500 records, the most difficult stretch of the season and perhaps in the NFL.
It's the most difficult stretch for sure that anybody in the NFL has over the next month. And so that's what is facing the Eagles. And when you're going into a stretch like that, all you can do is go one game at a time. And you say, all right, what do we have to do to beat the Cleveland Browns on Sunday? And we'll talk a little bit about that here today.
Absolutely. This Cleveland Browns team, very good. 6-3. They are a powerful run game. They are led by quarterback Baker Mayfield, who turns and dutifully hands the football off to his pair of talented running backs. So the Eagles defense, as we take a look at that defensive line, will have to play bigger than its size, friends. It's not a big defense the Eagles have. So when you're playing downhill runners that the Browns are going to bring to the table, an experienced offensive line, a weather forecast that calls for a high of 47 degrees and showers on Sunday, time to bring the big boy pads.
Which, by the way, Cleveland has played in bad weather. I think 3 of the last 4 games. This is a team that's used to playing in the muck. Yeah, last week was terrible. A couple weeks ago, the week before was bad. So, this is a team that's used to dealing with the elements out there in Cleveland. And I think when you look at this team, that's the way they're built, right? They're built to run the football, sustain offense, ball control. They won 10-7 this past week against Houston, and we talked about it this week on the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast. You can find that wherever podcasts can be found. Greg Cosell and Greg made the point. He said, that's how they want to play. They walked off the field winning 10-7, said, yeah, that's our game plan. That's how we want to beat teams, and so far it's worked for them.
Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, the running backs for the Browns, have combined for nearly 1,100 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns on the ground. No slouches at wide receiver either. Even without Odell Beckham Jr., they've got Jarvis Landry. They've got Rashard Higgins. They've got an excellent tight end in Austin Hooper. Baker Mayfield, 15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. A lot for Jim Schwartz and an Eagles defense that last week started off struggling, giving up an 85-yard touchdown drive, a 75-yard touchdown drive. Fran, this Browns team is one that you do not want to fall behind against.
No, you don't want to get them into a point where they just want to sit back and run the football. That's really what they want to do. That's how they want to play. So I think ultimately, and this goes on not just on a big picture basis, but even on a drive-to-drive basis. You want to get them behind the sticks. You have to stop the run on early downs, force them into 3rd and long, because the best part of their passing game with Baker Mayfield is play action, rolling him out of the pocket, getting him on the move. That's where they've had the most success. So many of their big plays have come on, plays just like that. It's very similar to, what we saw back in week 2 when the Eagles played the LA Rams and Jared Goff. It was play action. He'd roll to the right and hit a receiver underneath. That's the way they play. That is the way the Cleveland Browns want to play. The Eagles are going to see that a lot on Sunday.
And then for the Eagles offense, of course, the challenge going against an outstanding defensive front led by Myles Garrett, who leads the NFL with 9.5 sacks with 4 forced fumbles. He and Olivier Vernon very good on the edges. They'll move Garrett around. I talked to Lane Johnson earlier this week for the Eagles Insider podcast, and he called Garrett a freak. And just that's why he is just a super freaky athlete with the long arms, the explosiveness, the speed, got some moves. and he's been remarkably productive now in his 4th NFL season.
It's LeBron James coming off the corner. It's like LeBron James when he's got the ball at the top of the key and he can win off the dribble. That's how Myles Garrett is. He's not a technician. He's just going to blow by you or run right through you. And he's got the skill set to be able to do it in a league full of A-plus premier athletes. He is at the top of the list, and that's why he's going to be one of the biggest challenges the Eagles have faced yet this season on that side of the ball.
And you'll notice that players wearing their masks, the NFL across the league, all 32 teams, now in the intensive protocol, which requires players to mask up on the field, off the field. This is a very serious situation. The Eagles have done a great job this year mitigating the spread of COVID-19. A couple of incidents here and there. The entire country being ravaged by the pandemic here. The numbers through the roof. So the league has mandated that all players, coaches, masking up on and off the field. And so that is what we were seeing when they are not on the field, actually in combat, wearing their helmets. They are required to wear masks. Now, Isaac Sayamalo, in his 2nd week of practice here, since his 21-day practice window has been opened, I would kind of hope, I think we all are hopeful, barring any setbacks, that Sayamalo will be back on the field. I thought he would be back on the field last week. Eagles didn't think he was quite ready, so Sua Opeta started against the Giants. What would Isaac Sayamalo mean, Fran, to the Eagles' offensive line, which got Lane Johnson back last week, opened some holes in the run game? Miles Sanders had 85 rushing yards. Boston Scott with the big run for a touchdown, 57 yards. Improvement there. Sayamalo makes this group even better.
Yeah, I think ultimately, before we even get into the physical aspect of it, he just brings stability and confidence, right? I mean, Jason Peters used to working next to Isaac Sayamalo. Jason Kelsey used to working opposite Isaac Sayamalo. So having him back in the lineup certainly gives those guys confidence. It gives Miles Sanders and the running backs confidence. It helps Carson Wentz's confidence. So that certainly helps. But then also, with Isaac, you get a guy who is just equally good against the run and the pass. He's really smart. He's technically sound. He can do a lot of different things for the Eagles, and that's why it's just huge to be able to get him back in the lineup. A veteran as opposed to a young player is always a benefit.
Darius Slay, Eagles cornerback, on Wednesday meeting the media and revealed that Carson Wentz spoke to the team. And so I interviewed Carson just a few moments ago. You can hear it on the Eagles Insider podcast tomorrow. Why did Carson address the team? What did he have to say to the team? Make sure you are able to download and listen to the Eagles Insider podcast, which would drop on Friday morning. Interesting conversation on why Carson spoke to the team, how he did it. Good stuff from Carson, who obviously the leader of this football team, understands that at 3-5-1, even though the Eagles are leading the NFC East, the margin for error is so slim for this football team.
I'm interested to listen to it. I think when you look at, and Carson has been in this situation before in terms of, look, they need to get some wins together, right? On the back end of the season, they need to be able to turn things around. So I'm interested to hear what he had to say to the team on Wednesday.
And Lane Johnson back to his normal self. Great challenge for him, as we talked about with Miles and with Olivier Vernon, with a really good front that the Cleveland Browns are going to bring to the table on Sunday. This is our behind-the-scenes coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles 2020 regular season, presented by DraftKings here at the NovaCare Complex. I'm Eagles insider Dave Spadaro, along with Fran Duffy, and we're giving you a little peek here at Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles on as you see, a windy day here in South Philadelphia, warming up, but it won't be really warm on Sunday in Cleveland. Windy, I'm sure. Nothing like last week when the Browns beat the Texans 10-7, but Eagles are going to have to make sure they are ready for any rude comeuppance of the weather.
You can see the wind kind of going behind them, with the bushes going behind those guys. But to me, it's going to be big for the Eagles. When you look at Carson Wentz in the passing game, the challenge for them in this game. Last week we talked all about the disguise of the New York Giants. Cleveland doesn't necessarily do that as much. They play a lot of zone coverage like New York did. So I think ultimately you're going to look at trying to beat them with your zone beating concepts. There's 2- and 3-man route concepts to find the openings in zone coverage, and that will be big for them in this game. But the big one is third down. You and I, we talked about this earlier in the week. The Eagles, it's tough to win games when you have the lack of success that they had on third down this past Sunday. Cleveland's defense, 29th in the league right now on third down. So hopefully this can be a little bit of a get-right situation for the Eagles offense.
And you hope, Fran, that the Eagles offense isn't facing what they faced last week, an average of third down, 9 yards to go. That is a formula for failure. And the Eagles 0 for 9 in third down last week. First time since 2004. And that was obviously a very good Eagles team, a team that went to the Super Bowl playing at the Pittsburgh Steelers. After a great start to the year, Eagles shut down against the Steelers, and they were not able to convert a single third down. Not until last Sunday had the Eagles accomplished that dubious feat. So Eagles obviously want to get better on first and second down and work with some manageable third downs on Sunday at First Energy Stadium, where, by the way, Philadelphia Eagles 3-0 in their history at Cleveland.
Yeah, it's good. So we talked about this week actually on Eagles Game Plan, which will drop on Friday on PhiladelphiaEagles.com and the Eagles mobile app. Make sure you go check that out. If you're local here to Philadelphia, it'll be on NBC 10 a.m. on Sunday. With third down, I mean, it's not one issue that you can point your finger at and say, yep, if they fix this on third down, it'll be better. It will truly take everybody to get that fixed. You know, it's all little things. It could be, drop passes, wrong routes by receivers, inaccurate throws, blown protections. Everybody across the board has got to just pick their game up just a little bit more, especially on money downs, on third and fourth down.
Yeah, and that has been the theme of the conversation from the players, from the coaching staff this week.
Yep.
Point to yourself, get better yourself. And that what was so disappointing about last week. We all expected the Eagles to come out after the bye week, getting some key players back, Lane and Miles, Alshon Jeffrey, and it just didn't translate to success offensively. And the defense, unable to set the tone, unable to take the football away. All of those things have to change against the Cleveland Browns. Very difficult schedule here for the next 5 weeks for the Eagles, with the NFC East tightening. The Giants have a bye week this week, so Eagles want to maintain that game-and-a-half lead on them with a win Sunday against the Browns, and they certainly can do it. Hey, take a lead, make Cleveland throw the football, put it in the hands of quarterback Baker Mayfield. Certainly not a slouch, but he's not the strength of that team. That strength is pound, and pound some more with Hunt and Chubb running the football.
That offensive line is really good. There's a lot of really good one-on-one matchups to watch in this game down in the trenches. The Eagles D-line against that Cleveland offensive line. Derek Barnett going one-on-one against the first-round pick, the rookie Jedrick Wills, will be interesting. The Browns just got back Wyatt Teller, who I think is on his way to maybe an all-pro season at right guard. So he against Fletcher Cox will be an interesting matchup. There's a lot of really good one-on-ones in this game.
And it's also incumbent, Fran, that the Eagles' defensive backs, the cornerbacks, are pivotal against the run. They're going to have to get in and support the run and do a good job of it, or the Browns are capable. As we talk about the power of Hunt and Chubb, they also have the ability to take it to the house. Eagles can't let that happen on Sunday. Get a lead on Cleveland and then unleash the D-line.
That will be big too, Dave, in terms of the way that Cleveland plays. We talked about the backs, the receivers. They like to play a lot with 2 and 3 tight ends. And, if the Eagles are going to come out and play with their base defense with 3 linebackers, those guys have to be able to win at the point of attack, be able to run through contact, defeat blocks, find the football. You just haven't seen that enough quite this season. We didn't see it early in the game last Sunday. I thought they rounded into form in the second half, but they've got to defeat blocks this Sunday because all 3 of those tight ends, not only can they catch the football, all 3 of those guys can, but they also are very good blockers as well.
What a challenge here, friend. This is not the Cleveland Browns of the last 10 years here. This is a good Cleveland Browns team. Our old friend Andrew Berry, the general manager, out there after serving in Philadelphia, a year that he called the most pivotal of his career, learning under Howie Roseman, learning the Eagles' way, and taking his talents out there, and he's got a contender in Cleveland with the Browns.
The head coach Kevin Stefanski, a Philly guy, former intern with the Eagles, I believe. Yep. So, certainly some familiar ties out there in Cleveland.
Some Philadelphia connections that we don't want to root for, and we will not root for on Sunday as the Eagles take to the road for their second consecutive game away from Lincoln Financial Field. A big moment here for Fletcher Cox, for Javon Hargrave, for Malik Jackson. I feel like, hey, this D-line, friend, they got to dominate. Not just win. They got to find a way to dominate and disrupt that run game.
It's about stopping the run. You've got to be able to stop the run on early downs against this team. I know it's 2020. It's a passing league, all that. In this game, they have got to stop the run. And the Eagles, coming into this game, They are second in the league right now in yards per carry against running backs.
Right.
Now, the run game with Cleveland, very much a running back-oriented group, but they have had some big plays this year with the receivers on reverses and end-arounds. One of those guys is Odell Beckham Jr., who's obviously on injured reserve, so he had a couple of long runs against the Dallas Cowboys for big plays, but that is still a trick that's in the bag at Kevin Stefanski, something certainly to watch for.
Yeah, and Jarvis Landry, 2 of 2 throwing the football with a touchdown, so I think anything is possible. The Eagles have been struggling with misdirection, struggling with gadgets, struggling with running backs on the edges, struggling with wide receivers carrying the football, struggling with quarterbacks. I don't know if Baker Mayfield's going to be in the class of Daniel Jones, but he does have mobility, and he'll break you down a little bit.
Then that's what's crazy about I said that the Eagles were second in the league in yards per carry against running backs. They are last in the league, and really by a wide margin against non-running backs on the ground. And so that to me is an interesting stat going into this game. Again, the Cleveland attack, it is mainly about the running backs, but just something to watch for because Stefanski, he'll bust that trick out.
We're glad you're with us here on this Thursday here in South Philadelphia at the NovaCare Complex. Our coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles 2020 regular season presented by DraftKings. Dave Spadaro, Fran Duffy with you as we take a look at the Eagles working on some special teams. An area, let's be honest, the Eagles could use a big play or two here. We have not seen a bust-out return, a game-changing takeaway, a field position-altering moments.
Block
Eagles,
kick,
when we saw it a block kick, we saw it how important it was last week. Field position against the Giants was abysmal. 71-yard punts, penalties on kickoff returns. Eagles offense starting deep in their own territory throughout the game, and it's really hard to drive 14 plays, 11 plays, 10 plays, 75 yards, 85 yards multiple times in a game, as we are finding out with this Eagles team. Fran, where are the chunk plays? How do the Eagles get chunk plays in this game on Sunday?
It's a good offensively, it's going to all be about trying to pick apart that Cleveland offense or Cleveland defense in terms of their zone coverage. But the other part of this is going to be able to run the football and really get Miles Sanders going, get Boston Scott going. We did see that, so I think that'll be big. The other big thing is just penalties, Dave. I mean, especially when you talk about special teams, they had a couple returns come back on penalties this past week that, they weren't huge long returns, but at least get you out to the 35 to the 38-yard line, and they were unable to, secure those plays, and that's a big part of it. They had 6 drives start inside their 25. Right. I mean, that's tough, especially when you're not having success on third down.
Inside the 10.
Yeah, I mean, when you're not having success on third down, you're asking a lot of the offense to move the football that length of the field.
You kind of get the feel, Fran, that this week has been one kind of a week of reckoning for the Eagles, where they now realize that, hey, we've put ourselves in quite a hole here. It's great that we're in first place in the NFC East. Fortunate to be in first place.
Yep.
But to turn the season around, we cannot keep losing opportunities. And Sunday against the Browns, even though they're 6-3, this is an opportunity. We thank you all for joining us here on this Thursday, our peek behind the curtain as the Eagles get ready for the Cleveland Browns, presented by DraftKings. Make sure you're with us on Sunday, 12:15, our kickoff show presented by Exalta. Amy Campbell, Fran Duffy will be manning that show, and then the postgame show presented by Rico with Fran, Amy, Ike Reese, hopefully talking about a victory. I'll chime in there as well. We thank you for joining us today. We thank DraftKings for providing our coverage here at the NovaCare Complex. Have yourselves a great Eagles day, everyone, and fly, Eagles, fly.